Hit Kickin' Country Z94. It's Wild Bill in the midday. Dan Spencer joins us. Dan is a fifth-generation Californian living in Connecticut. He's a family guy. He's also a lawyer, and he contributes to the website redstate.com. Dan, thank you so much for joining me.
Glad to be with you, Bill.
Dan, you call yourself a California Yankee. I like that term. I'm actually from New England, and we use that term a lot, especially moving down south here. So,
I bet you do. It confuses a lot of people. A lot of people think I'm out in California still, but I grew up there. I have a lot of family out there, but for family reasons, I moved out here back in the late 80s.
As long as you're not a New York Yankees fan, I think you should be okay.
No, I still support the San Francisco Giants.
All right, there you go. Good thing. Well, you're a contributor to redstate.com. I go there quite a lot to get a lot of information about what's going on in this election. You have a story that you wrote about Romney extending his lead among independents to about 14%. We're always told that independents make or break the election from the media, but what are independents really telling us in these polls?
I think they're telling us that President Obama is in trouble. I've been writing about this for quite a while. I think it all started with the way they did Obamacare. He didn't listen to the people when back in 2009, the people said that Obama should delay the Obamacare vote until after the economy approves. He didn't, and his popularity plummeted all throughout 2009 and reached minus 24 in the Rasmussen poll that they do following the president's popularity. The bill was so popular that they had to pass it in the middle of the night on Christmas Eve, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it shocked everybody. And I think everybody remembers that Saturday when it passed. And I remember it sitting in my living room, and my heart just sank to my toes. Back in 2008, when he was campaigning for president, he mentioned that adding $4 trillion in debt was irresponsible and unpatriotic. And
President Bush, who raised, under President Bush's 8 years, almost 8 years by the time he was making this statement, he had increased the national deficit debt by $4 trillion with a little bit of help from Nancy Pelosi and company. And he called that unpatriotic, among other things. And then when he was president-elect, he kind of warned us of what his presidency was going to be like, because he told us there was going to be $1 trillion deficits for years to come, and so far that's been right. Every budget year he's spent more than $1 trillion in deficits. And then as president, shortly after he became president, he promised, I count no fewer than 5 different times, which I've got links to a couple of my articles about that he would cut the deficit in half during his first term. Well, he hasn't really done that either, has he? The national debt was about $10.6 trillion when he took office, and now it's getting real close to $16 trillion. That's an increase of over 50% in less than 3 years, more than the $4 trillion that he said was unpatriotic for President Bush to do in 8 years.
You know, we're hearing a lot across the political spectrum that polling suggests Romney and Obama are tied. Is that completely accurate?
Kind of call them mainstream polls. That's what you see from the ABC, Wall Street Journal polls. I don't think they're accurate. I think they're skewed. If you look at my article, I kind of point out what the split was among Democrats and Republicans and independents in the 2008 election and the 2010 election, and versus what this particular poll, or even some of the other recent polls, have for their sample. And you'll see that it's skewed. It has more Democrats in those polls than Republicans and independents compared to what they should if you based it upon what the last 2 national polls were like, elections were like. A nice countable poll that would have likely voters and would have a representative sample based upon what the last 2 national elections were like. I don't think President Obama would be holding his own against Governor Romney. You
know, we've heard in the past week or two, I've heard this from Fox News myself, that Obama is up in swing states thanks to Obama attacking Romney's tenure at Bain Capital. Is Obama making any headway on Bain Capital and Mitt Romney?
Well, they keep telling you they are, but I don't see it in these polls. Like this poll I wrote about in the article you mentioned at the beginning, it again shows that half the people are undecided. I don't think it makes any difference about Romney's background in the private sector, which is Bain Capital. And that's been consistent in 2 or 3 of these polls that I've been writing about. And it's just the Democrats, or at least the Obama campaign, keep saying they're making inroads, but I don't think it shows up in these national polls.
And I think recently Mitt Romney came out with a couple of ads himself defending his record at Bain Capital and pointing out that factcheck.org and a couple of newspapers are showing that this is complete hyperbole. They're untrue, what Obama is saying.
And that won't stop Obama. If you recall, 4 years ago, when he was running against Mr. McCain, he started off the campaign in a similar fashion with out-and-out untruths about McCain. He was especially focusing on McCain's comment that war on terror going to be in 100 years war, maybe it was specifically about Iraq, and he completely misrepresented what McCain said. With that, he tried to paint McCain as a warmonger. Fact checker after fact checker kept calling it lies, misrepresentations, non-truths, and it took quite a while before he would stop doing it.
Well, thanks to you, Dan, we're getting the record straight here, and redstate.com is just an amazing website, and I really do appreciate your articles when they show up and what you have to say.
Well, look for the next one. The next one, I hope, is going to be Obama's Pinocchio campaign to talk about how he's misrepresenting these facts against Governor Romney.
We sure do appreciate it, Dan.
Thanks very much.